everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commanders Core studio. Welcome to the show. So, spoiler season for Tarkir Dragonstorm has wrapped up, and with it, well, we'll never see any more dragons in Magic again, I am sure, right everyone? Just kidding. Anyways, with it, we've got the tier list rankings. These are going to be rankings based on my own opinions on what the most powerful commanders are in the set, up to the S tier, all the way down to the least powerful commanders in the D tier, taking all the commanders from the set and the precons, comparing them to just each other, the vacuum of Tarkir. Let's jump into it. So, first up, Sarkhan, Dragon, Ascendant. I'm just going to go in whatever order Moxfield has them in, which I believe is just mana value. A 2/2 Human Druid for 2 mana in red. When it enters, you may behold a dragon. If you do, you make a treasure token. And again, beholding a dragon means either show one that you control, which is obvious on the board, or show one from your hand. That being said, whenever a dragon you control enters, you get a counter on Sarkhan. Till end of turn, it becomes a dragon to other colors and types, or sorry, colors, other types it gains flying. Yeah, this one is quite limited, I would say. When it comes to this set, obviously, we've got, 3-color commanders, and we've got some 1-color commanders. And the 1-color commanders are at a bit of a disadvantage, I would say. And this one, no offense, Sarkhan, doesn't really do all that much. I mean, it's kind of like a mono-red all dragons deck, maybe, like that would be great, but like again, like you're slowly building up Sarkhan, I guess, and sure, you get like a treasure maybe for like a quick-ish start, but again, what your commander does isn't necessarily all that impactful. It's like, okay, Sarkhan gets slightly bigger and becomes a flyer. So this one, I'm going to start things off, and I do reserve the right to move these around, okay? I do, and I have done that before. I'm actually going to start things off with Sarkhan in the D tier. I am so sorry, Sarkhan fans out there, but I am putting Sarkhan in the D tier to start things off, okay? Next up, Sidisi, Region of the Mire. A 1/3 Zombie Snake Warlock for 2 mana in black. Tap, sacrifice a creature you control with mana value X other than Sidisi. Return target creature card mana value X+1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. Now, this one, I think, like, in the 99 of a build, or it could definitely be more impactful with a bit more colors, I would say. It can still be incredibly impactful with this. I mean, again, you do have obviously some great entomb effects where you can tutor certain things up, get them right in your graveyard. The thing is, like, if this Sidisi, had, like, say, blue in the color identity or white, you'd have a lot of untap effects, and because of that, you could just do some absolutely crazy things. I mean, like, yeah, it could be kind of like Prime Speaker Vanifar Pod-ish, but because of the limitation of its color, yeah, you can still do some crazy good things, obviously. Like, okay, yeah, I cheat out this one creature maybe that has Delve or something that, like, helps me get into play, and it's got a huge mana value. I entomb, a really powerful creature on my graveyard and get it right into play from there. Maybe I keep getting Gary back, Grey Merchant of Asphodel back again and again and again. I'd say overall, Sidisi, again, at a slight disadvantage with just, like, being the monocolor, but it is definitely more powerful than Sarkhan. I'd say this one's probably more middle of the road. I'm going to go with a B tier commander. Again, there's definitely some death triggers, ETBs that you can very easily use in interviews with Sidisi. And again, you are in the right color for at least entombing things in your graveyard. Unfortunately, not untapping to use this more than once in a turn, essentially. Definitely, you can in certain ways. But again, only sorcery speed 2 kind of limits it. Next up, not really so much for the limitations. Taigem, Master Opportunist. A 2/2 Human Monk for 2 mana in blue. Has Flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it, then exile the spell you cast with 4 time counters on it. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend, which again means basically at the beginning of your upkeep, move a time counter from it. The last one's removed. You play it for free without paying its mana cost. The creature gets haste. Okay, so this one, yes, can be built in a lot of different ways. That being said, from the perspective of, like, the highest end build, not considering CDH, okay? Just not considering CDH. I'm a casual commander player, okay? Not considering CDH, yeah, you're still, building probably with this, like, extra turns. Like, that's just kind of how this is. Any commander that is very easy to, very, very easily copy spells and is low to the ground and is in blue, it's just dangerous. It is very dangerous. Because this commander, again, it's incredibly simple for you to cast a second spell in a turn, right? I mean, like, in blue, you've got so many low-to-the-ground cantrips, you got a lot of options. Like, okay, cool, yeah. I cast Opt, I cast Time Warp. Awesome, I get the copy, and all of a sudden, 4 turns later, I get an extra turn spell as well. And as long as I just keep casting extra turn spells, because they're not going away. And again, the thing is, like, it's copying the extra turn spell, right? So, like, even the ones that, like, exile themselves, so not even just, like, Time Warp, the ones that exile themselves after they're cast, they don't. Because you cast it, it gets, copied and exiled with this effect, so then you still get to cast it again later. So getting the extra turn spells and stacking the extra turn spells is incredibly simple. There's also ways to take advantage of copying spells and, like, copying the copy. So, yeah, there are definitely ways for you to, again, very easily get the infinite extra turns going, and all of a sudden your opponents can't really do anything about it. So, yeah, and even on the turns where you don't have, like, an extra turn to set up, you're like, well, I've got an extra turn already, so I'm just going to dig down into my deck with my cantrips, get to the extra turn eventually, and then all of a sudden, I win. So, yeah, it is a commander where I'm going to put you up in the S tier. Like, again, it is limited by being mono-colored, but it is incredibly low to the ground, incredibly easy to use and abuse. And, of course, like, there are certain ways to manipulate the time counters as well. And, yeah, it's just a very, very powerful commander. And I'm not saying it has to be built in that way, and it's still powerful being built Spellslinger. But, yeah, its most potent version of it is definitely extra turns, and it is grossly powerful with that. Next up, Inafenza. Unyielding Lineage, a 2/2 Spirit Soldier Flash and First Strike for 3 mana. Whenever another non-tone creature you control dies, it endures 2. This one is just okay, I would say. Like, it is nice that you do have the option to either go wide or go tall. Enduring is interesting in that, like, okay, it's Endure 2. When I initially saw it, I was like, oh, okay, cool, 2 spirits. It's like, no, you get a 2/2 spirits. Like, oh, well, that's worse. It's still not bad, obviously, that whenever one of your creatures dies, non-token, you get to replace it, which is quite nice. Unfortunately, you don't have all the ways, obviously, to take advantage of aristocrat-style shenanigans with this. There's only so many creatures that you can use and abuse, essentially, when it comes to, like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, free sacrifice effects. There's a couple, and white there definitely are. There's only so many, like, there's not really that many blood artist type effects, really. So, like, you're only taking advantage of them in certain ways. Obviously, you could just do, like, a go-wide strategy, like okay, I take advantage of my creatures when they're in play, get some anthems, some, creature tokens, or I can go tall with this if I really want to. It's a bit more limited, though. Okay, between this and Sarkhan, maybe I'm underplaying Sarkhan just because, like, Dragon Tribal just inherently is decently powerful, even though you are in a mono-color. But I think for now, I'm actually just going to put this one down there with Sarkhan, and maybe I'll bump Sarkhan up to the C tier at some point, because, I mean, dragons are just dragons. Somebody else do that. Like, literally just chuck a bunch of dragons in the Sarkhan deck, it's gonna be good, I guess. I mean, it's gotta be decent. There's so many good dragons these days, okay? So let's just leave it at that right now. Moving on. Alesha, threefold Master, a 1/1 Jin Monk with Trample for 3 mana and Jeskai. Prowess. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you create that many 1/1 white monk creature tokens with prowess. I mean, this is one that can go tall and wide kind of at the same time in a way. It's like Spellslinger-ish if you're going to go in that direction, which, taking advantage of prowess, you probably should. Or like Artifact Storm. If you want to go that gross direction, you definitely can. But yeah, being able to pump Alesha a ton, hit someone for a ton, and make a bunch of 1/1s that, again, you can pump a ton by casting more and more non-creature spells in a turn. Yeah, I mean, definitely something that can be quite powerful, again, being able to kind of go both ways. Go wide, go tall. It's already got Trample, so you just really have to worry about getting power out there on it. You've got some doubling effects up in red. To double that up, you've got double strike effects in both red and white. You can turn this into a 2-shot, maybe even a 1-shot KO, not very long at all, making an absurd amount of monks while you do. And then when you do make all those monks are all incredibly deadly now too, and it's hard for your opponents to be able to block essentially too. So this one, I would say actually, I'm probably going to put this one up in the A tier already with this. It's going to be, I don't mean to spoil things a bit too much. Again, I don't even have a list on the side. I'm just kind of doing this on the fly because I feel like it's good for you to kind of hear my thoughts as I go through this, and I think a lot of people enjoy that. But yeah, it's going to be hard for anything to kind of get up to Taigen because again, low to the ground, extra turns commander is just kind of tough to get to. But this is a very potent commander, most definitely. Next up, and I feel like this never happens, and maybe it was just kind of not subliminal, but it just kind of happened where I looked at the board and I was like, oh, wow, I've got one of each right now so far. S all the way down to D. Yeah, I guess that's just how it is. Maybe I filled that last A in because I was like, hey, you know what? I gotta fill that in. Okay. Anyways, Eshki, Teamers, Roar, a 2/2 Human Warrior for 3 mana in Teamer. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you get a counter on Eshki. If that spell's power is 4 or greater, draw a card. If that spell's power is 6 or greater, deals damage equal its power to each opponent. Yeah, I mean, this is one where it does take a little bit of time to build up if you're going to build it up in just like a regular, like, okay, casting things again and again and again and again. But you can also obviously pump in a lot of different ways. It's based on power, not based on counters, though, of course, there are ways to get extra counters, like, hardened scales type effects as well. There are certain creatures out there that do have, a reduction of casting cost, that do have power 6 or greater. So, like, hey, oh yeah, Ghalta. Again, Ghalta, it is a 12/12 that costs 12 mana, but you're never going to pay 12 for it. You're just going to pay basically 2 for the most part because it's reduced by the amount of power you have on the board. So, yeah, if you have those types of creatures and you've got ways to maybe bounce them back to your hand, you can just kind of replay them and then just have Eshki just keep dishing out more and more damage. Again, it is each opponent. Unfortunately, there's only so many ways to give it, lifelink in these colors, but there are certain ways out there, obviously, like Basilisk Collar, etc. So yeah, being able to gain a ton of life from that, you can kind of pad your life total a ton. Also, if you want to, like, Grafto Exoskeleton this and just take all your opponents with Infect, you definitely can, or Corrupted Conscience is the aura, I believe, that does the exact same thing, in a way. But yeah, being able to essentially utilize this just as, like, your kind of cannon, essentially, just, okay, I get power on it, I just play big creature spell that is cheap, I play another one that's cheap, I play another one that's cheap, and all of a sudden, I just keep burninating my opponents with my commander. That can go quite quickly. It is kind of, I'm not going to say it's not glass cannon-y in a way, because, like, you also are building up a board with big creatures in play, but you're kind of, like, really, building up this creature's presence to actually dish out the damage. It is quite powerful, though. I do not want to, I don't want to kind of underplay that. There are not a limitation of the number of creatures out there that have power 6 or greater, which I think that what you want to do. You'd want to make sure that you have most of the creatures in your deck be power 6 or greater so they meet that requirement. And I would make sure that, again, I have a lot of them that have that kind of cost reduction that I can cast them cheaper so I can actually utilize them again and again and again and just keep utilizing them, maybe by bouncing back to the hand, to keep utilizing this as a big damage doer. I think overall, it's kind of like a B+, A-, I would say. Maybe I put it up into the... Maybe I move CDC down right now. Maybe I move CDC down to the C tier. I'll put Eshki up to the B tier. Maybe I got a bit overzealous with CDC right there. Let's go with that for now. I don't think it's quite up to Alessia, because, again, Alessia can build that board up really quickly, whereas this one kind of needs you to build the board up yourself. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that for now. Let's go with that. Okay, next up. Felthar, Dawn of the Abzan. A 3/3 human warrior trample for 3 mana in Abzan. Whenever it enters or attacks, you may sacrifice a non-land permanent. When you do, you get a counter on each creature you control. I love the design of this commander. I think it's really cool. There are certain types of creatures out there this can really take advantage of. What is it, like Herd Baloth? Is that the one where whenever it gets a counter on it, you get another creature? It's like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, being able to just take advantage of creatures, hey, whenever you're getting counters on them or getting extra counters on them, you get effects, you get extra effects. Can be a lot of fun. It is a commander that's just very solid. Again, it's going to be like a I win through attrition type of commander. I can sacrifice certain things that either I don't care about or that I actually want to sacrifice, and I can keep building my army up, essentially. So yeah, and of course, since it's ETB or attack, I can take advantage of blinking this if I need to as well. Overall, it's a very cool commander. I think it's probably pretty middle of the road in the set, though, compared to things. It's not quite up to Taigam, and it's not quite up to Elsha either. So I'm going to put it right there. Next up, code is Sipsig Champion. A 3/3 zombie warrior for 3 mana in Sultai. Once during each your turn, you may cast a creature spell from your graveyard by exiling 3 other cards from your graveyard, just paying another cost. Whenever one or more creatures you control enter, if one or more entered from a graveyard, it was cast from your graveyard, put 2 counters on this. I mean, this is a heavy-hitting commander, essentially, that isn't too hard to actually make quite large. There's a lot of different ways to kind of do it, like, Bloodghast type creatures, resummoning skeleton type creatures, creatures that essentially, just keep coming back again and again and again, like Undying Persist creatures as well. This can get quite massive. Being able to cast 1 creature out of your graveyard on your turn, and you have to get rid of 3 other things out of your graveyard, isn't too steep of a cost, but it is a cost. Again, you have to make sure you keep your graveyard pretty full to actually be able to take advantage of that throughout the game. Yeah, it is nice. It's a good amount of advantage there. I do think that this one is also probably a pretty middle-of-the-road-ish commander. It does hit decently hard, but I think for now, let's put this one in the B tier as well. And right now, I'm thinking Eshki might need to just move up a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, next up. Narset, Jeskai Waymaster, a 3/4 human monk for 3 mana.
Ingest Guide. At the beginning of your end step, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of spells you've cast this turn. This one is quite interesting. This one's kind of like, it's like a reverse storm payoff in a way where it's like, oh, okay, I didn't win when I stormed off. I get to replace my hand at least. Now, that being said, you don't have to take advantage of necessarily just that. You could take advantage of, oh, okay, I've got no hand at the end of my turn. Okay, cool. I'll just draw cards equal to the number of spells I've cast this turn, which can be quite powerful. Obviously, you could take advantage of what's like grafted skullcap type cards. Where you're like, okay, like I don't care about, the having to discard your hand because I'll be drawing extra cards at the end anyways. You can take advantage of like Thought Reflection to draw even more cards. You, of course, can take advantage of just, again, a Spellslinger type approach, a Storm type approach to draw a bunch of cards and take advantage of all those benefits. It's a very solid commander. I don't know if it's making the top tiers, though. Oh, goodness gracious. I think it's probably right along the same lines. I think it's right along the same lines as those previous ones. So let's move some of the B tier. I am going to push Eski up into the A tier, actually. I do think it's, again, I think when I said that one, like B+, A-, I don't think it's quite to Elsha, but it is probably above that next tier, and it is, this is shaping up a bit better, I think, from what the overall approach is, I think I feel better about this right now. Let me know in the comments below how off I am, though. So there we go. Next up, Sirach, Elusive Hunter, a 4/3 human warrior. This spell can't be countered trample, 3 mana in green. Whenever a creature control or a creature spell you control becomes the target of a spell or ability opponent controls, draw a card. This one, I'm not going to say it's underwhelming. It's a solid, very solid card in the 99. A very solid card in the 99 for a decent amount of decks out there that really care about creatures. The thing is about this one is it's entirely dependent on your opponents to be kind of anything other than just a 4/3 trampler. Like, let's say that you literally are just playing against opponents who are only using Wraths and who don't play counterspells. Like, it's not benefiting. I mean, like, you're not, like, hoping necessarily that your creatures get countered just so you can draw cards, I guess. But, like, this creature's just a 4/3. It's just a 4/3 trampler that doesn't really do anything else for you unless your things are actually being targeted. So, like, unless things are going wrong in a way, they're not going right. It's not really helping you out in other ways than that. Obviously, if it was, like, if anything was dependent upon whenever you are actually targeting things, then my goodness, this would be super powerful. But because it's completely dependent on your opponents, I'd say this is a D tier commander. It's, again, a solid card in the 99, but it's a D tier commander because it's dependent on your opponents entirely to make this commander actually work and give you any kind of card advantage. All right, next up, one of the spiciest commanders from the entire set, Tersa Light Shatter, a 3/3 Orc Wizard with haste for 3 mana in red. When it enters, discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. Whenever Tersa Light Shatter attacks, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, exile a card at random from your graveyard. You may play that card this turn. This is a really cool commander. I'm not going to say it's one of the most powerful commanders. It's one that you could just luck into, literally, like, okay, yeah, turn 1, I get the right, card where I play, I think there's, draw 4, discard 4, or whatever that, random one is, essentially. It's discard 4 at random, or whatever it is. There's a couple of different ways to draw things very quickly. I mean, I guess Winds of Change could do it right away, right? There's ways to get your graveyard immediately full. And, yeah, basically, turn 3, you play this, and you're like, okay, cool, turn 3, play it. I attack. I happen to discard, this incredibly powerful game-ending card in my graveyard, and I just basically win the game on turn 3. Or World Fire, and everyone's down to 1 life. Lovely. So, yeah, there are definitely times where that could happen. There's definitely times where you could, again, whiff, or again, the random card that you exile is a land, and you're like, okay, cool, I get the land, but, yeah, is that really all that good? It's a very exciting commander. It's one that, again, does do... it's variable. It's a variable commander that, just depends on the scenario, depends on what's in your graveyard. And, of course, you can stack your graveyard in certain ways. You can make sure that there's more good things in your graveyard. And once you're set up properly, which takes a little bit to set up, it would get there. But I'd say, overall, this one's probably in that not the worst, but definitely not quite. There's a lot of solid commanders in the set, so I wouldn't say it's in the middle of the road. I'm going to say Tersa Light Shatter, you are a C tier commander. Next up, Zurgo Storm Render. Here we go. A 3/3 Orc Warrior with Mobilize 1 for 3 mana in Mardu. Whenever a creature token you control leaves the battlefield, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, each opponent loses 1 life. Yeah, I mean, this is a very solid commander that can give you an absurd amount of card advantage or, draining your opponents, essentially. And you actually can kind of decide if that's going to happen or not. Now, part of it you might not be able to decide, obviously. If it's like, okay, I'm swinging with these creatures, they block, they get taken out. Oh, darn, I draw cards. But, like, even if your opponents don't block and you're like, nah, I'd actually rather draw the cards. You could have, like, Viscera type effects in play, you know, where you're like, okay, cool, sacrifice, draw. All of a sudden, I have an absurd amount of cards in my hand. Again, literally just, like, for every creature token you make, you can basically draw a card. That's pretty crazy and pretty good. And also, again, being able to just drain your opponents when you need to as well. So this is a card draw engine as well as a drain engine as well as a win condition, basically. I'd say this one is very solid. I'd say this one is very solidly in the A tier. It is, again, 3 very solid colors for aristocrat style effects, for like go wide effects, for aggression effects, and being able to go about and do that, yeah, you can do some pretty cool things with it. And sure, when it attacks, you get to mobilize 1, so good for you. That being said, other Zergo, mobilize 2. Much better. Oh my goodness. Anyways, 2/4 Oak Warrior for 3 mana in Mardu as well. Mobilize 2. During your end step, warrior tokens you control have this token can be sacrificed. So, I mean, that second part is just, I'm not going to say it's not useless. Like, it doesn't really apply to anything outside of Mobilize, really. I mean, I'm sure there's, like, some really weird scenario where it might apply. But, I mean, I guess, like, on your end step, if you're, like, everyone has to sacrifice 13 creatures. Like, you somehow have, I don't know, you flash that spell it or whatever it is. You force everyone to sacrifice a ton of creatures on your end step, and you're like, but I can't! Yeah, no. Okay, outside of very weird scenarios, that, hey, only, you know, your warriors can't be sacrificed, that really only appeals to your mobilize, which obviously is great, because this commander can just keep making more and more tokens, and they just keep staying in play. If you utilize other mobilize effects, great, but, like, it's not doing anything outside of those things. Like, it's just like, okay, I make 2 tokens on attack. You also need to make me probably a bit beefier so I survive combat, or, you know, you make me indestructible or make me evasive because I'm not going to survive it. You need other ways to build the board. But other than that, like, again, its effect isn't helping you in any other way. It's not like, hey, you get this extra benefit. You get the extra benefit. It's like the extra benefit is just kind of built into what this commander already does in a way. So I'd say that this is like, it just kind of like takes down the downside of mobilize. So, which actually sometimes can be an upside for aristocrat style decks. But anyways, I would say this one is probably, oh, do I put in the C? It's like a lower end B, maybe C. I'm going to go with a, oh my goodness, I'm going to get yelled at for this, though. I'm sure there's some big fans of this one out there. It's okay, though. Okay, I'm going to go with a C+. We're going to go with a C+. It's very good in the C tier, but I'm going to go with a C+ commander. I don't think it's quite C, but now, like, Kedis is looking off there then, too. Oh, okay, maybe it's just like a B-. Okay, maybe it's a B-. Let's go with a B- commander. Again, it is still going wide. I guess you just get some Anthem effects in play, making quite a few tokens, but it's like right there. I don't know. Okay, we'll see. I might move back to that one. Okay, Eshki Dragonclaw. We've got a 4/4 human warrior for 4 mana. In Teamer, Vigilance, Trample, Ward 1. Beginning of combat on your turn if you've cast both a creature spell and a non-creature spell this turn. Draw a card, put 2 counters on it. I mean, this one is, it's a solid commander. It is one that can give you a good amount of card advantage. The kind of problem with it, I'm not going to say it's a problem, I guess, but, yeah, it's just, oh, goodness. Yeah, I mean, like, you have a lot going on with it where you have to have, again, a very specific deck with, like, a very balanced approach of, like, a lot of non-creature spells and a lot of creature spells, and how am I going to make all this work? Like, okay, this commander can hit hard again. It's Vigilance, Trample, Ward 1. Cool. Like, that's nice. But, like, okay, like, you've got, like, so you're playing as, like, a Voltron-y commander that you're just trying to cast different kinds of spells all the time? Like, it's not, outside of it just giving you an extra card, like, it's just okay. I think this one truly, I think, does belong in the C tier. Oh, now Zergo's looking like it, too. Okay, you know what? Zergo, you're moving down. Oh, no, I feel like I gotta move Sarkhan down. Things are moving. Okay, we're gonna keep it right there for now. It just always looks lopsided when it's down there. Okay, anyways, next up, Belthar the Steadfast. Okay, this is one where I might get some flack on it because I think this commander can actually be quite powerful with the right build and actually pretty nasty with the right build. A 0/5 human warrior for 4 mana Abzan. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Creature you control can attack as though now defender. Pay 3, tap, sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to sacrifice creature's toughness. Discard cards equal to its power. This one, once you are set up properly, can very easily go infinite. Very, 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 very easily go infinite, and your opponents, I mean, like, yeah, they can stop it, but, like, they kind of need what's going on ahead of time and have the right things to do to stop it, because basically with this one, you just need to have mana dorks that tap for a decent amount of mana, which there are plenty, obviously, in these colors. You've got green, and all of a sudden, you're like, okay, my mana dorks tap for a good amount of mana, well, more than 3. I sacrifice this defender that cost me 2 mana to get in play, and it's got 7 power. I draw 7 cards. Oh, look, one of the many untap effects that cost, 1 or 2 mana that untaps all my creatures, like Immobilize. Okay, cool. I untap my entire army. I do it again. I sacrifice this other creature that I just drew into. Okay, I do it again. I do it again. I do it again. I mean, eventually you'll run out of cards in your deck, but there's ways to reshuffle or whatever. Or, I mean, you have Psychosis Crawler in play, you drain your opponents. Or, yeah, there's plenty of different ways to win when you've got basically near infinite mana, near a full hand. This one is one where I'm probably going to get yelled at in the comments below, but Fellow Father Steadfast, I think it's like, this is where I'd go like B plus, A minus, but I might even go into the A actually with it, because I do think, again, like, most people are probably building this like, okay, yeah, just go walls, swing walls. Yeah, and that's very good. This one, though, I would just take advantage of this draw effect and be like, yeah, I'm just going to use those giant defenders, not as attackers, I don't care. I'm just going to use them as giant draw effects for me, essentially, and then I'm just going to draw my entire library. Maybe it's a bit dependent on the mana dorks, so maybe I'll move it down because it's like a B plus then because of that, because like if a board wipe happens, you're in trouble, but obviously you've got great ways to protect from board wipes. It's between the two, okay? To me, it's pretty much between the two, all right? So we're going to go with, yeah, we'll go with it there. Oh my gosh. Oh, we're going to go with it there. We're going to go with it right there. Yep. Now Codis is looking out. Okay, you know what? This is just I think Wizards is getting a lot better, actually, in my opinion, with a lot of things being a bit closer these days, where it's like they're not as spread out as they used to be, I feel like. And so you know what? We're going to move Codis down. We're going to move Zergo back up. And that's where we're going to go for right now. This is a tough one. This ranking might be the biggest roller coaster ride out of all of them. Again, I feel like Wizards is getting all these a bit closer. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all this, though, and how right or wrong I am on many of these. This is all just for fun. Anyways, Conan the Fangkeeper, a 2/1 zombie warrior with indestructible 4 mana in Sultai. Whenever it deals combat to a player, exile the top X cards of their library, for X the amount of damage dealt. You may cast any number of spells with mana value X or less from them without paying their mana cost. I mean, this is just go Voltron, go big, hit someone hard. Probably not hard enough to take them out, though, because then you don't get their things. But yeah, take them, hit them really hard, and cast a ton of things. This is Villainous Wealth as a commander. I absolutely love the design, and it's really dependent upon what you hit, obviously, on, how well it does, and how much you can get through. But yeah, it's already indestructible, so it's hard to deal with. I'd say overall, just middle of the road, probably. B tier commander. I think that one's pretty simple, because it's just like, you know what? You just pump it, you just get it through, you hit, and you get free things. Cool. But you don't want to hit too hard because you don't want that person to be taken out, because then you lose the free things. There you go. Next up, Nariv, Heart of the Storm, a 4/5 flying spirit dragon for 4 mana in Mardu. A creature control that entered this turn would deal damage, deals twice that damage instead. I mean, the first thought of this is like hasty things, obviously. So there you go. But also like certain things like, the Fanatic of Mogus kind of, that also doubles up. So ETBs for creatures that actually deal damage out, that doubles those as well. It's a solid card for sure. Like just anytime you're like, okay, doubling up damage, that's quite nice. Especially again, when you're in a color that again gives you damage doublers too. So you're like tripling, quadrupling, whatever it is. So yeah, you can make a lot more damage essentially with your things. At the very least, again, hasty creatures, which of course you've got plenty of haste enablers in here anyways. You're like, okay, I get aggressive, I swing quickly, I hit hard, and all of a sudden my opponents are in big trouble as well. And you can kind of reset things too if you need to. Like you do have, again, you are in white as well, like Eerie Interlude type effects where you can just like, all right, I blink my entire board before my turn, or during my turn essentially, and I've got, again, like a haste enable, like a Fervor in play. My creatures come back into play, they swing, the damage is doubled again. Or again, if I've got Fanatic of Mogus type things, I blink it, and all of a sudden it's dealing that damage out too. As I say, very solid middle-of-the-road commander in the B tier. Next up, Shiko and Narset Unified 4/4 Human Spirit Dragon Flying Vigilance for 4 mana in Jeskai. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy that spell if it targets a permanent or player. You may choose new targets for the copy. If you don't copy a spell this way, draw a card. A very solid commander, I would say. It is one that, again, like, you can really take advantage of certain spells that do target. It's like, my first thought with this one was like, Card and Temporal Sundering. Luckily, there's only so many extra turn spells that target. That's like the one that comes to my mind essentially right away. So sure, there are something like that. Like, you could just, okay, I double that up. Great, good for me. There are less, there's some very powerful things that you can do with it. There are less just like, okay, very easy avenues to use interviews like Taigam has, though. So I would say overall, this one is a very good commander. It is one where, again, anytime you're like, okay, doubling something up, that's great. It is more dependent, again, upon targets, which are typically like removal spells, which is still very nice, being able to be like, okay, cool. Like, I get to double that up. That's absolutely great. And if I don't, I get to draw cards. So, yeah, because of the limitation of the doubling, you're still getting an absurd amount of value, and there are ways to double up a double. I'm going to put this one in the A tier. It's like an A-, B+, I would say. You're still getting an absurd amount of value, and again, even if you don't, like, okay, I cast my second spell in a turn, and I get to draw a card, cool. That's great. So, yeah, you still get like I don't really want to actually double that up. You're just like, oh, okay, I get to replace it. Cool, awesome. So, it's still a very, I'd say, overall pretty solid commander that can do those kind of the high highs, like the really big explosive plays, but can also just do kind of just solid, just work throughout the game. Next up, Tivaldi Balance Scale. A 4/4 Spirit Dragon flying for 4 mana in Sultai. Whenever it attacks, mill 3 cards, and you may return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. Yeah, this is one that can just build an army. Again, once you're set up quite quickly, it is dependent upon your graveyard. Graveyards can just get removed, just with a Bajuka box. Someone plays a land, your graveyard's gone. You're like, oh, okay, well, I get 1/2/2. But yeah, all your work for setting that up is gone. Obviously, once you get like an Evolving Wild or something like that, like, you can just keep ramping with this again and again and again, which is quite nice overall. I'd say this one is, oh goodness, this one is probably, again, it's just tough. It is very tough. Again, this is a very tough set with like a lot of very close calls, I'd say, when it comes to commander power levels with this. I'd say this one is, you do have the repeat. You do have the repeat ramp. Okay, repeat ramp is a very powerful thing. Because, you are just bringing it back, and it's, as long as you get Evolving Wild, something like that. You could just keep hitting basics, but as long as you get Evolving Wild, it's like you're guaranteed repeat ramp, basically. One or more. You can definitely make an army if you've got certain cards like Titan's Nest is amazing with this. Absolutely love that. Make an army. Again, it's kind of like that. It's kind of just like that, like on the border, like the B+, A-. I think I think Taigam kind of screws a lot of things up because it's kind of on its own tier, and I'm very stubborn about that when it comes to S tier commanders. Like, yeah, that one's just kind of the best. I don't see anything else up there with it, but like this would make it a bit easier if I could kind of move these around. That being said. Oh, goodness, Taval. I think I'm going to keep you in the B tier for now. Let's just keep you right there. Again, you are pretty dependent upon a graveyard. You can get blown out quite easily if that graveyard just goes away. Bator, Ancestor's Voice, a 3/5 Spirit Dragon flying in lifelink for 5 mana in Abzan. Gain your end step, put a number of counters up to 1 target creature control equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. Return to 1 target creature card with mana value less than or equal to the amount of life you lost this turn from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is one that, hey, you just gain a ton of life. All of a sudden, one of your creatures hits an absurd amount. You put that on this. Again, it's got lifelink. All of a sudden, you are doing that again. And again. And again. And again. So this one can obviously turn into a one-shot KO quite quickly. You can also reanimate some pretty big things as well. There are certain, like, life control cards out there, like Mischievous Poltergeist, where you can just choose to lose life whenever you want to. So you're like, oh, okay, cool. I've got that creature in my graveyard. Maybe it's Gary, Grey Merchant of Asphodel. You're like, okay, I'll lose 5 life, get that back out. Cool, good for me. I just drained a bunch of opponents a ton of life, and good for me. Yeah, so being able to do things like that, it's a solid commander. It's definitely very solid. Oh, goodness. Let's go overall with a middle-of-the-road commander. We're going to go with a B tier. You're very solid, but I don't think you're quite there. Okay, next up, Bator Kin to All. But before I do that, sorry, Zergo, you're going back to the C tier. I don't know. I just kept bugging me. I kept looking at that. All right, Bator Kin to All. 5/7 Spirit Dragon flying for 5 mana in Abzan. At the beginning of your end step, if creatures you control have toughness, total toughness 10 or greater, draw a card. Creature you control total toughness 20 or greater on tap each creature you control. Creature you control of toughness 40 or greater, each opponent loses half their life rounded up. This is one where it's, I'm not going to say it's not a combo commander, but it kind of can be in a weird way where Okay, the first two things are nice. Again, total toughness 10, that takes you no time at all to get to. This already has 7, right? So draw a card, that's nice. Toughness 20 or greater, untap all your creatures, that's cool. Again, like, basically pseudo-vigilance, or again, if you've got Mandorks, cool, get that back. Or if you've got, like, if you've got other, like, tap creatures with activated abilities, cool. Take advantage of those as well. That being said, the big payoff, obviously, is make your opponents lose half their life rounded up. Here's the thing. There are ways to double that up. There's a couple different ways to actually double that up, like Warlock, Warlock class? There you go, that's one. Or Wound Reflection. You have those, you just win the game, because opponents basically lose the amount of life that they already lost that turn. So being able to just go, oh, okay, yeah, you lost the life, you lose it again, all of a sudden, you lose the game. So anyway, it's kind of a weird, just again, combo commander where you're just like trying to get to 40 toughness and have one of those things in play on your end step, and you just win the game. I mean, it definitely can just kind of be that. It can just be like a game like that where that's all you're trying to do. It takes some pieces to put it together. I'd say it's a solid middle-of-the-road commander because of all that. Next up, Nareev, Crackling Vanguard, a 4/4 Spear Dragon for 5 mana in Mardu. Flying Death Touch, enters, create 2/1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Attacks, exile a number of cards to the top of your library equal to the number of differently named tokens you control. During any turn you attack with a commander, you may play those cards. Interesting for sure. Yeah, it is a commander that doesn't stand out, I would say, as one that's like, wow, over the top powerful. It is one that, again, you can just get a bunch of different name tokens in play, and you can just keep kind of building up this separate hand that is dependent upon your commander coming into play and attacking, essentially. So obviously, if you have a good amount of ways to like grant haste and ensure that your commander can always attack when you need to get it back into play, essentially, so you can get access to those cards again. Yeah, and obviously with those tokens, like make clue tokens, make treasure tokens, make those tokens out there that are going to stay out there a bit longer than just, say, creature tokens, which are the most vulnerable. Yeah, I mean, it is quite nice. I would say overall, like, it is just like a good impulse draw, like weird, like, saving, it's like a storage of impulse draw cards commander. So it is like giving you a good amount of card advantage throughout the game. Obviously, once you were set, probably take some setup to get there though. But I'd say overall very solid. It's just tough in this one, I think, to knock into the A tier right now. It's very tough. All right, next up, Shiko Paragon of the Way, a 4/5 Spirit Dragon for 5 mana in Jeskai. Flying Vigilance, enters, exile target non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. Copy that you may cast, copy without paying its mana cost. Yeah, this is a good commander. It is one that is definitely, ETB, exile a non-land card, mana value 3 or less. It is specific in what it needs to do. It is one that, because of its limitation, like, it is kind of Sun Titan-ish, but as a commander, it is, because you are limited to that mana value 3 or less, it is specific on what kind of deck you want to build around it. It's either like, a bunch of like low to the ground, good effects, or like kind of like churning and burning through like various effects that can like keep blinking it again and again and again, taking advantage of that in other ways, maybe by doubling up on the effects or doubling up on triggers. It is one that you can take advantage of, again, copying spells, like certain ways to like twin casting or whatever that one is, or the twinning rod or whatever it is. But basically being able to take advantage of that. It is specific. It takes up a lot of kind of setup to get there. But once you get there, it can do some pretty crazy things. I'd say because of that setup, we're going to go with a middle-of-the-road B tier. Next up, we've got Taval, Arbiter of Virtue. Here we go. Okay. A 6/6 Spirit Dragon with flying and lifelink spells you cast have Delve. 5 mana in Sultai. I should have said that earlier. Whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equals mana value. Now, losing life equals mana value, that is the downside of this commander, obviously. That being said, you can actually turn that into an upside as well, because you can just turn this commander into a life swap commander where you're like, okay, I actually want to get my life total down to an absurd level, and then everyone goes down the same level with me. Or I swap life totals with someone else, and they're down, and I'm up, essentially, like Profane Transfusion type card. That being said, yeah, anytime you can give all your spells Delve, that's crazy good, because you're like, okay, all I need to do is fill my graveyard, and now my graveyard is basically like a mana source for me. I can just utilize a card like, say, Morality Shift, swap my library with my graveyard, and I've got an absurd amount of cards in my graveyard. I can now utilize those to just dish out an absurd amount of pain to my opponents. I mean, you just basically need a large graveyard and Ensanguinate, and you just win the game. If you've got more life than your opponents have, and you've got, again, one of those like giant drain effects like Exsanguinate, and you're like, okay, I've got enough cards in my graveyard, yeah, you're just like, okay, yeah, I just win the game. Any of those like giant like I win the game spells essentially, like you can just like really pop off them pretty early with this, I would say. And again, like the downside, sure, like lose life, mana value. You also have like, again, things like Insanguinate already gain you life anyways, or you just have again life swap cards so you can take advantage of those as well. I think again, anytime like cost reductions in play, like that really plays a very powerful role. I'm going to put this one up in the A tier. I do think that it is, again, a Chimera that can take advantage of that quite quickly. And again, I'm not even mentioning, I mentioned like X spells, stuff like that, but like colorless spells, like you can just do, oh, okay, cool. I'm not paying any mana actually for them at all. I'm just exiling cards in my graveyard, playing them basically for free, except at the cost of life. And that's worth it for me, and I can really take advantage of that. So yeah, have fun with like your giant Eldrazi if you want to go in that direction too. Next up, Areni the Unwritten, a 7/7 Spirit Dragon flying trample for 7 mana. Enters or attacks with the top 8 cards of your library. Put a dragon creature card from among them on the battlefield. Put the rest bottom of your library in random order. This one is 7 mana. Okay, again, at 7 mana, that is a lot. I will say that. And that might be the thing that holds us back, because right now I'm thinking B+, A-. Because, I mean, again, like, just Sarkhan, again, no offense, Sarkhan, I keep kind of bashing you a little bit right now, but, like, you probably should be a D tier commander, but because dragons are so incredibly supported, Sarkhan moves up to a C tier. This is like, yeah, it's 7 mana, but like you could just hit the right dragon off the top that just kind of wins you the game right away, number one. Number two, it's an ETB trigger that is not dependent upon a cast, which is pretty crazy for this kind of effect. So you're like, okay, cool. Essence Flux. I blink this for 1 mana. It comes back into play. Another dragon. 2 mana blink spell. I blink it again. Conjurer's Claw at the end of the turn. I blink it again. Just keep getting free dragons off the top of your library into play. You're gonna win the game kind of once you just get this going. Yeah, it's like a B+, A-. I don't know if I can actually put it all the way up in the A, because 7 is a lot. It could just win you on its own, though, right when it gets there. It's also a 7/7 Flampler, though. I'm going to keep it in the B tier for now. I might regret that. Again, it is a dragons just have so much support as it is. It's pretty crazy just how much support. Maybe just because, like, literally dragons just have so much support. You might not, your priority in a good spot, you know, with your dragons, essentially, before this even comes into play, and then just, like, plays it, finishes it by getting you the right dragon on the battlefield. I don't know. It's one that I go back and forth on. I'm going to go with A again. It's like a B+, A-. Taigam, you really messed this up by being an S tier commander, all right? And I messed it up by choosing that. But that's just how I go about it. Okay, final one, though. Other Areni, the Song of Unending, a 10/10 Spirit Dragon, because we need an even bigger dragon. Flying direct from white and from black for 8 mana in total, and Teamer. Enters, it deals X damage provided you choose among any number of target creatures under planeswalkers opponents control X number of lands you control. I mean, it's a big, dumb dragon. Like, that's just what it is. It's a big, dumb dragon for 8 mana. But, yeah, it's got some protection, obviously. It's a 10/10. It can very easily become a 2-shot KO. Again, just needs 1 extra power. It can very easily become a 1-shot KO, just 1 extra power, and then also double strike. Yeah, I mean, if you've got a haste enabler like, gosh, what's the one that also gives haste as well? Or haste and +1 with 0. Rise of the Day or whatever that is. Cool. Swing right away. Double strike it. You win. It ETBing and, like, taking out creatures and planeswalkers based on your lands, that's nice. Unfortunately, there's not, like, a lot of ways to really give it death touch, like, on the ETB for the most part in these colors. So, yeah, you can't just, like, pinpoint take things out, but, like, you still take a decent amount of things out. I'm going to say overall this is probably more of, like, a solid just, like, B tier. It might, maybe it should be down to the C tier, though, just because of how expensive it is, though. I'm going to keep it in the B tier for now, and then I'm probably going to regret it, and people are going to yell at me. But, like, at least, like, when it enters the battlefield, it's, like, at least taking things out when you're doing so. 8 mana is a lot for a commander, though. 8 mana is a lot. I just don't like that Sarkhan's there, too. So I can't. I got to leave it right there for now. All right, so that's the list for right now. I feel pretty good about this overall. Again, I think it's just tough that these days, it's a good thing. It's a good thing these days. I feel like the gap is less wide these days between the power levels of commanders when Wizards is making them. It just seems like they're making it a bit more concentrated, which I like. I personally like. I think that they are, if you're building a commander from the top to the bottom, you're probably going to build something, for the most part, you know, you're not at completely, like, uneven playing grounds, essentially, when it comes to where you're starting from. I mean, unless you're building, like, extra turns Taigam down to, Anafenza. Like, that might be just a little bit different. But yeah, for the most part, between, like, the A and the C, like, there's not, I mean, there's a decent amount of differences, but like it's not absurdly as different as it used to be, okay, from my opinion. Overall, I think I feel pretty good about this. There's not too many just absolutely terrible commanders in this set. Most of them are pretty solid in general, and then, yeah, a couple of ones that really stand out at the top to me. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts around this comments below. Again, this is all just for fun, and, yeah, let me know your thoughts. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Make sure you comment below with your thoughts on it, and, of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one.
This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.